Assalamu alaikum students and welcome to the new topic genre and its identification. It is very important for the learners of any level and to understand what genre is, and after understanding the word genre the learners will be able to identify its types. So let's start our today's topic. First of all, we will go towards definition, and the first point so far as definition of genre is concerned, that is, what does genre mean generally or literally? It is a style or category of art, music or literature. You may say that any style or category of art, music or literature is called genre. Genre is the name we use to describe the categories that have developed over time for what we read, what we watch, and what we listen to. Anything related to reading, watching, and listening is called genre. Third point is the kinds of genres that exist in one culture at any time may not exist in another culture at another time. They are constantly changing. So keep this thing in your mind, students, that the genres which are existing in one culture at one time, that is not at all a hard and fast rule that they will exist in another culture at another time. Meaning, all these genres, all the categories related to genres are constantly changing. One thing which is existing in one culture, that is not at all present in another culture, because literature is all the time reflecting life, and language is basically the dress of thoughts which we people have, or the writers or the composers have in their minds. So these thinkings may also change from time to time, from culture to culture. So literature present all these things with constant changing. Literary view says that a distinctive type or category of literary composition, such as the epic, tragedy, comedy, novel, and short story, all these are the categories of genre. All these are the types of literary genre. There are two main types of genre. Number one is fiction, and number two, non-fiction. We have discussed non-fiction in our previous lecture in a detailed way. So today we will talk about fiction only. That is also one of the major types of genre. So what is fiction? The word fiction is derived from the Latin word fictio, which means the act of making, fashioning, and molding. Any act of making something, fashioning something, or molding something is called fictio in Latin, and in English it is called fiction. Literature created from the imagination, not presented as fact, though it may be based on a true story or situation, is called fiction. You must keep this thing in your mind, that any sort of literature which is created from the imagination, because the storyline, the main storyline or the theme can be taken from reality, but the names of the characters as well as the places can be changed with the help of imagination as well as thinking and situation, so it will become fiction. Fiction is any creative work refers towards fantasy and fantastic ideas. All types of fantastic ideas are major part of fiction. What are the types of fiction? There are five major types of fiction: literary fiction, historical fiction, science fiction, gothic or horror fiction, and flash fiction. Number one is literary fiction. What is it in its real form? A complex literary genre that includes a wide array of other types of works is called literary fiction. This is a complex type of fiction that has subtext within the plot that alludes to a greater theme that ties into society, social, or human conditions. Any sort of greater theme which has been taken as a subtext within the plot of main complex type of fiction, and that theme is connected into society, social, or human conditions, that is called literary fiction. What are the types of literary fiction? Short story, novella, novel, drama, fairy tale, mystery story. All these are the types of literary fiction, and you may know that there is a plot, character, as well as major theme, climax, and anticlimax of the story. In short story, novella, novel, drama, fairy tale, mystery story, everything will follow the same sequence. What are the characteristics of literary fiction? Imagination, character, plot, and setting. Imagination plays a proper role as well as important role in creating fictional story, because without imagination the writer will not be able to create a good idea. So after imagining about some idea, he needs character, uh, through which he can mold his story, and then he will give the sequence of events which he has imagined. That will be called plot. Any sequence you may write according to chronological order, that first point or first action will come at the first place, second will at the second, and third at the third. And it's up to you that you may write the story according to non chronological order, that you may write from the beginning, you may write from the middle, as fifth number action will come at the first one, and then the third and the then second. Haphazard situation of plot can also be adopted by the writer. Then setting. Setting means that you have to give the place, scenario through which you are going to present your story. Means if you want to depict city life, you have to show the setting of city life, and you have to give the indication to your readers as well as viewers or learners, because through that particular scene they will be able to understand that now the city life is being depicted by the writer. In the same way, any foreign country airport scene or any other scenes, or scenes related to countryside area of any story, they will also be created by the writer with the help of scenic depiction. That will be called setting. What is historical fiction? That is the second type of fiction. A story that takes readers to a time and place in the past is called historical fiction. There are seven elements of historical fiction, or you may say that historical fiction can be composed with the help of seven elements. Generally, the writers of fiction must address seven crucial elements like character, dialogue, setting, theme, plot, conflict, and world building. Meaning, imagination is not involved in it, but here you will have to give the idea of past, because you are writing about the things which have happened in our past life. So you have to create the setting of the past time, and in the same way the plot will also be created or set in the form of the sequence of images which will be related to that particular story. And there will be a conflict which can be resolved by the writer in the end, or which can be left for the speculation of the readers. The characters could be based of real or imaginary individuals. It's up to the creation or creativity of the writer, that he can take the characters from real life or he can create the characters from imagination. There are different types of historical fiction like historical romance, alternate history, the pillars of the earth, historical fantasy, historical mystery, and nautical fiction. All these types of historical fiction are related to the genre which will convey us some aspect of past individually, but as a whole every story is complete in itself. Now, science fiction. Fiction which is based on imagined future, scientific or technological advances, and major social or environmental changes, frequently portraying space or time travel and life on other planets. That will be called science fiction. Any sort of story which is related to the scientific future of human beings, which is related to the bright future so far as technological advances are concerned, and different changes in environmental sciences or social behavioral sciences. And frequently, these stories are portraying space, time travel, and life on other planets. And all these stories or the themes will be based on imagination, strong imagination of the writer. Science fiction, sometimes shortened to SF or as SCIFI, is a genre of speculative fiction which typically deals with imaginative and futuristic concepts such as advanced science and technology, space exploration, time travel, parallel universes, and extraterrestrial life. All these are the major forms of science fiction. And the main thing which is importantly followed by the writer, that is speculation, that he must speculate about the things or the ideas which he is going to highlight, that what will be the future of those ideas, whether those ideas with the speculated picture will be adaptable for the people or not, or will be suitable for the people or not. Now, the types of science fiction: Afrofuturism, alien invasion, slipstream parallel universe fiction, speculative fiction, comic science fiction, diesel fiction, climate fiction, superhero fiction, apocalyptic and post apocalyptic fiction. And some of the types are related to only the future so far as scientific discoveries and technologies, the advancement of the technology are concerned. Some are considered to be the to show the attacks by aliens, how other the creatures of other planets can come to the planet earth. And definitely there will be imagination which will play its stronger role. And sometimes science fiction is going to be presented some funny incidents, and that will call comic science fiction. And sometimes some science fiction will be based on some destruction caused by any scientific discovery, and then what are the scenes of destruction of that discovery, that will also be the part of these types of major science fiction. Gothic or horror fiction. Gothic fiction, sometimes called Gothic horror, or primarily in the 20th century it was given as the name Gothic horror. It is a loose literary aesthetic of fear and haunting. Mostly and majorly, it is related to some sort of fear, some sort of areas which are haunted by some gods or goddesses, or some creatures which are invisible to human eye. The name refers to Gothic architecture of the European Middle Ages, which was characteristic of the settings of early Gothic novels. European Middle Ages were the main source which produced this particular genre. One of such forms is Gothic literature, which emphasizes the darker aspects of humanity. Horror, death, and sometimes even romance will also be presented in the form of horrible fiction or horror fiction. What are the types of Gothic or horror fiction? Gothic romantic novels, the novels which will be based on some sort of romantic meaning, sort of idea which was not related to human beings only. Any human character will be in love with some other creature like vampire or god or like that. And then Victorian horror, modern horror, and American Gothic, especially Southern American horror. Flash fiction is the last type of this genre. Flash fiction is a genre of fiction defined as a very short story. While there is no set word count that separates flash fiction from one more traditional short stories, flash fiction stories can be as short as a few words, while short stories typically run for several pages. That short story, any short story which was the major part of literary fiction, that may be based on 2 to 3 pages, that may be based on 15 to 20 pages, but flash fiction is the shorter form of that particular short story. Any fictional story that is under 1500 words long is called flash fiction. Some journals may have a different definition of flash fiction length, but most accept 1500 words as the standard maximum word count. So now you have got the idea of difference between flash fiction as well as the story which was created under the heading of literary fiction. What are the types of flash fiction? Flash fiction, which is considered to be the standard size flash fiction, that will be based on 1500 words maximum. In 1500 words, the writer will have to present the idea which he has in his mind while composing that particular fiction. Number two kind is sudden fiction, that is based on 750 words maximum. This is a word limit, and the writer or the writers have to follow this word limit if they are the writers of sudden fiction. Then microfiction, which will be based on 100 words maximum. And dribble mini saga fiction will be based on 50 words maximum. And there is also a 6 word story. Any story with less than 10 words is called 6 word story. And so far as the short fictions or flash fictions are concerned, there are many apps which is presented by the experts of technology, and these apps are related to the writers who want to present their ideas but in a shortened form. WordPress, then you may quote your quote in. These are the apps which are and many other apps like this, and they are based on flash fiction. 1500 words, sometimes they are offering the story to write 1500 words maximum, sometimes 100 words maximum, and majority the first image or the one image is based on a story less than 10 words is very famous so far as your quote in app is concerned. And the other part of genre is non-fiction. As I told you that we have discussed this particular genre in detail in our previous lecture, but here I'm just giving you the bird's eye view. A prose writing that is informative or factual rather than fictional is called non-fiction. Any theological, dogmatic or philosophical piece of writing which is based on some newspaper report, article, editorial, documentaries, essays, and speculative work of art will be called non-fiction. Salient features of non-fiction: that every time true events will be taken into consideration by the writer. True setting will be created by the writer. True setting will be shown by the writer in composing non-fiction. And in the same way, true characters with the help of facts and figures will be shown in non-fiction genre. What are the components of non-fiction? There must be some table of contents, the glossary list, index, captions, charts and photos, which will help the readers to understand what sort of this work is being presented by the writer. And charts and photos, diagrams will help the reader to understand the things clearly, because any sort of chart or any sort of photo will give you the clear image with the help of the captions written with them, which you are going to read. In the same way, the glossary list will help you understand the meanings of the difficult words which are written in non-fiction story. What are the elements of composing non-fiction? Facts, extensive research, reportage or report writing, personal experience or personal opinion, explanation, exposition, and essay format. All these are the elements, and you may follow one element to make your non-fictional work important and significant. You may follow all these elements in composing one article. So the main thing which is important, that is fact, that you must write about the facts, and you must have some research about that particular topic, and there must be some sort of personal experience involved in it, and then the writer must be able to explain that particular aspect of personality or opinion of personality, and it will be written in the form of essay. What are the important points to compose nonfiction? Setting, descriptive imagery, figurative language, plot, and character. Sometimes the writer has given us the factual setting, a real setting about nonfiction work, and he is going to describe the things, but he takes help from some sort of images. So this will be called descriptive imagery because he has created images in the form of words, and then he will use figurative language to give us deeper meanings instead of only surface meanings of his created words. And the sequence of the images or the ideas as well as events will be written in the form of a good plot, and there must be some character maybe of living being or maybe non-living. It's up to the idea which the writer is going to handle. Thank you very much, students. This was all about genre and its identification. Hopefully, you people have got enough explanation about genre and its identification. Thank you very much once again and stay blessed.